What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 18 of Overthinking Media. I'm your host, Michael, joined by Harry.
Hello.
And John.
Hello.
What have we all been up to? What we've been doing? What we've been playing? What we've been watching?
Batman! Go on then.
John?
Batman, I started the remastered Return to Arkham.
Mm-hmm.
Again?
I haven't done the Return to Arkham. They have broke it.
Go on, because I've downloaded it and I'm ready to go.
No, it's fine. It plays fine.
Oh, it's on Game Pass.
I have gone straight to hard because I've played it so many times.
Mr. Big Balls.
Is it on Game Pass?
It's on Game Pass, yeah. So I've started Return to Arkham Asylum, which is... It's weird playing it, just having that muscle reflex of where the Riddler trophies are as well, and remembering. So I'm able to do that as I'm going through. But they've polished it too much. It doesn't look dark and gritty like the game did. Batman's too clean and Joker's like clean. When you load it up, you'll see what I mean. It's just when they've done the transferring, they've upgraded the graphics. Something's gone, like the shading's gone on the bodies. Like it doesn't. They don't seem to fit into the environment.
I do remember it being a dark game.
I think I know what you might be on about. Like they look too well lit.
Yes, that's
like
the thing.
The shadows have gone.
The shadows have gone. So, like where he starts ripping his suit, there's no shadows for where he's ripped his suit.
It just looks like one texture.
It just looks like one texture all the way through, and it's a little bit... It's kind of like he's stuck in the environment and not actually part of it.
Like he's been photoshopped in.
Yeah.
Like when you get really bad... Like the
really bad CGI, yeah.
You know, like the Resident Evil movies where you can tell what is there doesn't match the lighting for the room.
The other thing... That's obviously an issue, just the visual element. Otherwise... It's still Batman Return to Arkham Asylum, which is a fantastic game, and I've just beat Bane.
Is there any extras? Is there any like do you get all the DLC with it free?
Yeah, you get the full DLC, I think, but I don't think Return to Asylum had any.
What was the DLC?
I don't think Arkham Asylum had any DLC apart from Battlegrounds, which is the Joker.
What?
Battle Challenges, which were the Joker.
No, the PlayStation 3 version of Arkham Asylum, you could play through the game again as a Joker because it had bigger discs.
Could you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not on the Xbox 360.
So what happened?
Yeah, that's on it, yeah.
What happened?
Did he have his own story?
No, so you know the fighting rounds, you do 3 rounds of fighting villains and everything. Mm-hmm. It was just, instead of Batman, you played as Joker.
Okay.
And yeah, that's in.
That's in the Xbox One, though, so that's new.
Yeah.
I never played that then.
But you don't get anything for it. It's just you get to see Joker fight, basically, and he has some of his Mortal Kombat stuff, like he hits him with crowbars and throws the teeth, that stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I've just been playing that.
It's only Asylum and City, isn't it? It's not
Asylum and City, yeah. So they're 2 separate games in one pack. I haven't obviously. So I'm only halfway through. Actually, yeah, I'm halfway through Asylum now. I could probably finish that. And then I've been carrying on with Shadow of Tomb Raider, which that part in the crypt where you have to go in and climb through the bodies and the dead bodies in the sacrificial chamber.
I'm still waiting for you to say that part. The part. I don't want to spoil it for you.
I've been collectible hunting. This is my thing. So I was in a party with Mike the other day, and I was just going around the hidden village, collecting and doing all the side missions. Like go talk to the people that have been cast out by the cult. Let's just say that Trinity. And it's a very beautiful game. Although, why do all the kids look exactly the same? Couldn't they have just rendered a different child?
Do you know, I never noticed.
Yeah,
I know that some of them look very similar, but I didn't. It's just such an overwhelming environment. I suppose I didn't.
Well, no, this is the thing. I had to return a mission to a kid, and I kept going to the wrong kid because they all look alike. Now,
I think John's just been racist.
No, they all look alike.
All right.
But it's a beautiful game.
It's a very good game.
Very good game. And I got to pet llamas. So I got that achievement for petting llamas.
I really struggled. I said this to you, Harry. You loved it, amazing. But I really, really struggled with it. I even said to myself, this is probably my last Tomb Raider game. Yeah,
you finished it?
Yeah, I finished it. Yeah. Again, I enjoyed a lot of it. You know what I mean? But again, it's like I got to the 3rd game and I was like, because 2 didn't really do it like for yourself.
Yeah.
And then 3 just sort of... It was just a fetch quest game for me. I just kept doing the same shit over and over.
It's missing the layers of that first one. That first one, that island, it had the mystery of the island.
Mm-hmm.
You had the bad guys who just arrived. But as you went onto the island, you then discovered there was like World War II stuff. Like there's almost, you could go through time of that island. There's like different layers.
And that was interesting.
People who'd been there.
Uncharted.
Well, yeah, I know.
The first one.
Oh,
it literally was the Tomb Raider. Because I played the rebooted Tomb Raider before I played Uncharted 1.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And when I was playing it, I was just like, wow, they're pretty much the same game.
Yeah, it's the jungle and the World War II.
Jungle, there's World War stuff in the jungle. They find stuff. There's undead.
I think
zombie
Tomb Raider even did it better though.
Tomb Raider did it better.
After having just played fucking Uncharted, I 125% agree.
So you've been playing?
I've been playing all of the Uncharted. I spent the last week, and I've literally just before I came out tonight, finished Uncharted 3, and I've did it all in a week. And 2 is amazing.
Yeah,
2 is amazing. 3 is very good, but it's a bit.
3 out the desert.
Yeah, 3 out
the desert. Yeah.
I found 3 a bit too reliant on the big action set pieces. They were great, they were a lot of fun, but it felt like I was just moving from one big moment to another with no real story. 2 was great. 1, on the other hand,
tough, isn't it?
Yeah,
tough to get through.
It's really it is just move into area, take on waves of bad guys, move to the other end of that area, and then bad guys come from behind you, and they don't let. And like if you dare poke your head out of cover. Now, I like this. I was saying this to Mike before you came up. I do. You know how I was like in the text message moaning about how the bad guys were like snipers.
Yeah.
The bad guys are insane. As I went through the game, I kind of started to pick up on the pattern that every time I stuck my head out of cover, they'd instantly shoot me from somewhere, and then I was like getting through every single battle by the skin of my teeth and feeling like I'd accomplished something. And then it clicked. Oh, it's supposed to feel hard. But it was never I never actually failed any battles. It just felt like I was just barely getting through, which is actually like, and that changed my entire perspective on the game. I wasn't enjoying it until I realised that, and I'm like, oh, this is actually a really well made game. It's making me feel like I'm challenged, even though I'm not.
Yeah.
Because my screen was like constantly black and white. I was getting shot. The enemies don't just poke in and out of cover. They do poke their head out. Then as soon as you pull the trigger, just so happen to move in the right way to dodge all your bullets. So it was like, I felt really accomplished when I finished it, but it's janky. The controls still, for all 3 of them.
The controls were janky, but I found that going back and playing, this is why I don't, I like the games that I played when I played them, kind of thing. I don't understand the appeal, and it could insult a lot of people, but I don't understand going back and playing bad retro games, like where they've upgraded in sequels, because they're never going to have the same joy. Like, okay, fair enough, the controls for like Pac-Man are always going to be the same, left, right, up, down, but this game just, they expanded on it so much in the second game that it just felt old. And you've played so many shooters since that a shooter Tomb Raider kind of game just felt really horrible to play.
Because I was used to the polish of the next gen Tomb Raiders. So going back and playing Uncharted 1 and 2, which like Uncharted 3 was 2011, so that was before Tomb Raider.
And I think 2008 was the first Uncharted.
Yeah, so they're like they all feel very. They were probably great at the time when they came out, but now they were a headache to play. They were like Nate. In the third one, they added in. It was one of the first games I remember seeing where if you walk past a wall, he'll put his hand up onto the wall. Which
is that what they added in the third one?
Yeah, I noticed that it might be in the second one a little bit, but it's definitely prominent. It's a prominent, like he has those mannerisms where he's like walking and he does hand movements. He'll put his hands on his face, or he'll touch the wall.
See, that reminds me of the first. Was it the first Assassin's Creed? If you remember, I think it was 2008 when that came out, and that I know it's a different game, different like sort of mechanic, but I remember when he sort of I think I can't remember who the character was. The main character's name is it Altair, the first one.
Like walking through crowds of people.
Walking through crowds, and he like use his hands to sort of move the crowds. That sort of sounds similar.
That was smooth. Uncharted 3.
He's not.
If he goes to do the animation to put his hand on a wall, just as you input something else, he doesn't smoothly transition. He just kind of the animation just instantly flips to whatever the next animation you input is.
Yeah.
And it feels very, 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 very jagged and all over the place, and you feel like you're getting kind of stuck on all the scenery. And
so you've got 4 on the table right now, right next to us. So that's the next. So you're going to have a blast playing that. Graphically, gameplay. I even think the story's amazing. Yeah, you're going to really,
it's a very long story as well.
Yeah,
that's fine.
It's,
I mean, I hope
it takes you into different environments as well. So you've got.
Please do not say any more. Because I'm really enjoying his game.
You know what John's like? He's going to spoil everything.
Yeah, that's why I'm like...
Please don't say anything. Yeah, well, what happens is... No, John, please. Oh, no. On the second act...
It's not a spoiler.
No, John, please, I don't want to know. But then he kills her. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. Oh, it's not a spoiler.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say the name of the character with the blue hair who dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, shut up. Right. So, I've been playing Metro again.
Exodus.
Yeah, Exodus. I finished it. And it's great. It's a very, very good game. Open world environments.
Does it feel like Fallout?
No. It's in fact, this game was very, very
rubbish.
No. Sort of like clunky. The character felt very heavy than the other two games that I played.
Where you can run through the whole game, basically.
No, you can't run through the whole game.
I pretty much did the first one I got a guide and I ran through it. I didn't kill a single thing.
I don't know what game you played, John, but you have to go for it because it's linear. But so you can't just run, just go off and just run.
You can sneak it and go.
You got to go on. You got to open.
I'm a Russian ninja.
The whole concept of Metro is like you go somewhere and you basically it's dark and you sort of like go through and you sort of like push a. It's all old. You sort of push a button to open a door. So. That's the whole premise. So you ran through doors, obviously.
Wait, hang on. So I've never played these games. I've got them, never played them. They're on. I think they're on the list of this year. The entire premise of a Metro game is to go to a place to push a button to open the door.
No. I'm trying to debunk John's fucking theory of I just basically ran straight through everything because you don't do that. Because how did you run through bulkheads?
No,
you know what I mean. Like,
of course I didn't do that. You can get past enemies and not like there's whole sections where you can just literally. Stealth it and not do anything, and if you do that right, you can do a level in like 2 minutes.
I mean, Metal Gear did exactly the same thing.
Deus Ex does that.
Yeah.
If you
can just
don't get me started on Deus Ex.
But let's not go. Yeah, let's not go down that road. But it was great. It was graphically gorgeous. There was some parts that I struggled with, but I like the journey. They're obviously it's open ended, so there can be others, but I'd still. You still go underground and still because it's all underground. The first 2 games, there is some. There is some on the second game. I think you go out a bit, but it's all heavily radiated and it's very linear. You go half of the game. I say you spend above ground, so you see like radioactive wastelands and you interact with the people that have been affected by it, cannibalism, etc. And then there's a lot of areas in the maps where you can go sort of underground, so it's still got that core element there. It's great. I mean, just I love the look of post-apocalyptic games, and they're so beautiful. You know what I mean? Like just what if? I know it sounds a bit morbid, but
there's that one coming out that looks kind of like half like Borderlands crossed with Fallout.
Atomic Heart, is it?
No, it's like called Outlanders or Outlander or something. Know. And that looks very much like the type of game you're describing.
I'll have to have a look at that. I'll have to have a look at that later on, actually. So yeah,
you've been watching.
I've been watching. Well, that's a good segue. Actually, let's move on to our main topic this week. Umbrella Academy. I mean, who wants to start? I mean, I'll just quickly say it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad Netflix have got back to having a standout show that isn't called Stranger Things. Because all Netflix really had that was like super, 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 super popular was Stranger Things.
Well, it had the Marvel stuff, but they're sort of coming away now.
Yeah, and that was relying on... I feel like superhero stuff is kind of this separate thing. Like, superhero stuff is there. It's always going to be there. There's always going to be the films. There's always going to be TV shows. They're always going to be there, and they're not bad, but like they're not. You can't. They're not. They're not like everything. Mm-hmm. So like things like Netflix, Amazon, movies, they need to have good stuff that's not just superhero stuff. Even though
technically,
even though Umbrella Academy, they start off as superheroes.
It's Watchmen.
They're failed superheroes.
Yeah, it was more like Watchmen, which isn't really about superheroes, even though they are.
Well, they're not failed.
But it's a world.
They're not
all
failed,
it is a world where they've got special powers, but they technically, as a superhero team, they've failed.
Well,
because
no,
the only
the
only person that stayed as part of the team was number 1, Space Boy. So there were basically it started and when there were 42 women that gave birth at the exact same minute.
48.
48. Okay.
And that does make me feel how many more are out there.
So,
like, sort of
but
thing.
they haven't had training or anything. It will be like a Professor X thing, I assume.
Will it though?
But
will it though?
It was almost like the
it's
guy.
It's an anti-X-Men.
What's his name? What was the dad's name? The
Professor Hargreaves.
Hargreaves, yeah. So it was almost like he'd read X-Men and went, "Oh, I want to go and do that," but was really shit at it, and he could only get 7 of them.
So he was a weird character because as it went on, now I'm guessing because obviously this is from a Dark Horse comic as well. It probably gives a bit more on his backstory in it, but he had a flying superjet engine ship. Because he flew into Russia at the start of the episode. Mm-hmm. Illustrious adventurer Professor Hargreaves appeared, and out of the 48, he managed to get 7. Mm-hmm. So it says 7 at the introduction.
Mm-hmm. You're right. I know you're right. You still get the picture, though.
Yeah, still getting the picture. Are you sure it's not Pogo and the robot lady?
No, it's 7 kids that whittles down to like 4. Like Ben dies.
Ben dies somewhere in between the introduction episode, which was we can only see each other at weddings and funerals, and then we find out that he died somewhere in Run Boy Run, because I think 5 appears at the end of that. Well, you find out that he dies because they knock over the statue of Ben.
Yeah, and they mention it right at the very beginning.
Yeah, I did forget. Yeah, so they knock over the statue, but they just don't say. They just said it was messy. What I found weird about it is because in the comic they've all got they've got their code names. They don't mention their code names until they kind of allude to Space Boys, Luthers, when he's talking to.
But their code names were their past in this. Yeah, and they moved on from it. Yeah.
Which is obviously going to be interesting for season 2, with how it ends. But because it alludes to that Hargreaves. Now, this is all a very time-travel-y series. It gets all a bit...
The monocle.
Well, it's got they say something about the monocle, but it's all very... It's a paradox kind of thing.
Listening to John try and explain time travel might now be my favourite. I never realised how much I wanted this until he started, and then I've just put 2 and 2 together and gone,
waiting for him to run out of gas.
Carry on.
Well, no, it's a paradox because... If 5 hadn't gone to the future and come back, he wouldn't have started this, they wouldn't have done this, the eye wouldn't have got pulled out, the eye wouldn't have got made, and all these things. But by the looks of it, when you have that flashback of Professor Hargreaves, he seems to be in a future.
When?
What?
So you know when he's talking to that woman, she's dying in bed, and she says, "You've got to go, my love," blah, 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 and he travels off. He basically releases...
the woman who gives Hargreaves the violin...
Yes, he releases this glowing jar full of like what look like fireflies, but I bet you if you to count them, there could be 48 of those lights. So he's done something, but then there were all these missiles, like a Terminator flashback where there were all these missiles. So was he in an alternate timeline where the apocalypse happened because they bombed everything and he's travelled back? Because he goes back to a period really far back.
Yeah, when he goes,
but basically he comes to America.
The missiles, I'm guessing, she goes self-destructive, starts blowing up America, and then America think they're being attacked, and then that's them sending the missiles over to...
Yeah, but Professor Hargreaves looked young in this.
What if? So we're saying Hargreaves...
Unless Professor Hargreaves is 5.
I was just about to say that. It hadn't occurred to me
Because how would he know? Because this is what Fives. How would Dad know that the apocalypse happens?
Yeah.
And also, he talks to him as if he knows about time travel. Like, how would he know about time travel being
It's a good theory.
difficult? But again,
I just know that they are in the comics.
We've got
separate.
people that have read the comics going.
Yeah, so this is what I'm saying. I've already read the synopsis. Well, I always, like most of us, because we overthink a lot of things, we go in and have a look at like sort of the Wikipedia versions and the sort of synopsis of the cartoons and the comics and stuff. The Monocle is a separate entity character, and he's not yet been revealed as Five. So it's a great theory, though.
Well, he's at the bottom of a river at the moment.
Volume 4's out this year.
So there's two. Well, I've looked at the two hardbacks that I might get, and they're like sort of massive volumes of.
I don't know if I will. I enjoyed the series too much
without
knowing anything.
I don't think it might not follow the same story. I don't know.
It's followed the same story quite well because I did actually have a look at it and was like, "Is this an actual comic?" And I was like,
"No, it's my."
Yeah,
I did. Do you know who made it? Do you know who wrote it?
Yep.
Who?
It's Gerard Way.
My Chemical Romance.
Yeah. Oh, you look at it. You like with the
you can see in the art style of it's My Chemical.
Yeah. It's very black
and
parade,
the masks and
the
Black Parade
uniforms and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
so I just thought the tone and the way they used the music, the sort of modern hits that I probably didn't like all of these songs, some of them, but they fit so well into the whole story and every scene.
I think the dance scene where they're all dancing to "I Think We're Alone Now" in separate rooms.
It's so good.
That was in the first episode, and that was the moment I was like, I'm gonna really love this.
Because from the get go, you automatically go, you want to see what happened to these characters. Why are they in this dire state? Because obviously, as John said, they eventually sort of move off from each other, and then they come back for this specific event. And I just so obviously that's all going on. Five comes back. And he's I think, fantastic character.
The little kid who plays him, like, you genuinely believe he is an old man in a kid's body.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
And basically, I love the bit where is it Pogo? He's sort of like, I always think that he sort of knows what's going on.
Which
at the beginning you think, oh, he knows something, and then the mom as well. There's obviously something going on with the mom, and then obviously you find out. But it's so. Yeah, I always thought as well. Is she like a mad sort of like sex doll for the
No, that was explained.
They explained it.
They explained it.
I know she was created to look after the kids, but like it just seems a little bit sort of.
So, as you find out that Vanya has powers, you then find out that
was it. Yeah,
she kept knocking off the nannies, so they built a robot nanny that she couldn't
destroy. Yeah. So yeah, I mean. I thought it was amazing. I thought each character was great. Klaus is my favourite character.
I love Robert Sheenan. He's in Misfits, wasn't he?
So we had this conversation. He was in Misfits, which was a BBC, I think, series, was it?
Channel 4?
Or a Channel 4 series, over here in the UK.
It had the guy who played Ramsay Bolton in it as well.
Yeah, he was
in it. A completely different type of character.
Yeah, so when he was amazing in that, and then all of a sudden he disappeared. And I'll say this to you, denying conversation, outside of obviously the podcast. I've said to you, like, it's almost as if he sort of like got really popular really quick, and then he kind of just went off to do something to be a star.
Yeah, he left the show. He left Misfits after like season 2, and went and did. He didn't do any. He may have done one film with Rupert Grint, I think.
Right,
but that didn't do too well. But then he just does what he wants to do. He does quite a lot of indie stuff. Doesn't do huge big budget stuff. This is the first thing he's been in where it's like back in the mainstream. Everyone can see him again.
Yeah,
and he's just so good.
And he's great. And I just love. I mean, we're going a bit far ahead into the series here, but I love when he gets hold of one of the briefcases, and then just goes to Vietnam. I knew as soon as he came back. I knew he'd gone to Vietnam because just the look of him in his garb, like what he was wearing, and then that whole storyline. Because obviously he's gay, and he meets this guy. And obviously he dies in this trench, like when they're fighting in Vietnam, and then he just comes back to this reality, and then he just like beats the. He trashes the cases, doesn't he? And
like for us, he'd been and gone, but for him, he'd lived a year during a war.
Yeah.
And his entire character changed when he got back.
Yeah, because what's weird now is they're all becoming different ages. Apart from 3 of them at the 4 of them at the moment Well, no, Ben would be the same age as Klaus, because if Ben went with Klaus back in time, which they don't,
No, they don't.
they tell you.
Probably didn't.
So you've got Fyre, who's a 50-year-old guy in a kid's body.
Yeah.
You've got Klaus, who's now a year older.
Mm-hmm.
Ben would be a year older. They're all slowly becoming.
Why would Ben be a year older?
Because if he went with Klaus,
Yeah. So what John's saying is because Ben was only Klaus could see Ben. So John's saying that because Klaus went back in time, then technically Ben would have as well. But you never have any.
But Klaus's power is just to talk to the dead.
well,
He's a seance.
his code name is the Seance.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean all the dead from that time period follow him through time.
Yeah,
it just means that he can see people.
But
I wouldn't.
I think Ben's got a bit of a weird. But Ben seems to be a bit of an anomaly because he seems to be attached to him constantly. So
it's because he can see.
Yeah, I think it's just a way of us.
He can see. He's the person he can communicate with.
And also remember when they introduce Ben and they say Ben number 6, is it?
6.
Yeah.
And then he's in brackets deceased. I think he's. Don't forget, there should be about 1,000 people in the room every time Klaus is there.
Yeah.
Because he can see everyone like the Sixth Sense. Like he can. Remember at the end, near the end, when he's tied up and the two villains will come to them in a minute.
Yeah.
What are their names again?
Hazel and Cha-Cha.
Yeah, and do you remember
Mary J. Blige?
Yeah,
It's Mary J. Blige.
Really? Whoa!
So do you remember like he's sitting there and he's getting tortured and there's like 30 people in the room when he starts to realise he can use these characters to his advantage.
Yeah.
So yeah, they must be all in this plane. And I'm sure that when he goes to Vietnam, I'm sure he can see not billions. I'm sure he can see thousands on the battlefield that have just been killed or are going to be killed. And,
not a good time for him to go back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but
again, it doesn't really allude to his power too much because when he has the conversation with his dad in that barber shop,
which is a great scene.
Yeah,
I think it's so good.
What took you so long?
Yeah, it almost shows how stubborn he is, but also
how manipulating the dad is.
Yeah, see, I think there's something more to the dad. He's preparing them for things like this.
Well, this
is where it harps on back to what you've just said, John, about the time travel. So I think he's a bastard for a reason.
Yeah.
Because he has to be this hard to show them all.
Well, he does allude to it. And the first title of the series kind of goes to what he's saying. We only get together for weddings and funerals. Now, by the looks of it, there's only been one wedding, which would have been Alison's with her husband, who I'm guessing ex-husband, who she basically, I'm assuming, went, I've got heard a rumour that you love me, because that was one of the voiceovers in that drive where she's chasing Vanya. And then the only death would have been 2 deaths, Ben's and Professor Hargreaves. And he basically says to Klaus, while he's doing this great shave, by the way, you could have picked up the phone. Would you have answered? So it was the only way to get you together. So he did the ultimate sacrifice, basically sabotaging his robot, making Pogo, his little science experiment, promise not to basically poison him.
Oh, rest in peace, Pogo.
Man, that bit was like...
Spoilers!
Well, yeah, I mean, they'd have to know, yeah.
That bit sucked, but at the same time, Pogo had kept so much important information from him. And he knew, like, when he died, you knew, it was like... that sucks that you've just died, but at the same time, you have put yourself in this position, but you also had no choice. It's very sad, but at the same time, it wasn't...
It was very sad because, in a weird way, Pogo was more of their dad.
Yeah.
In regards to he came and had talks with them. He was Alfred. He was the Alfred of, and essentially that would be like a Robin coming and killing Alfred. But it was.
He's not. I think he's going to come back. There's time travel.
We're going back in
They're
time.
all going to come back, and everything's going to happen.
I think Hargreaves, because of this time travel thing, I think he killed himself knowing that he would get them all together, which would release Vanya, which would cause them to try and stop her from destroying the world, and to stop her from destroying the world, they all went back in time as a team. I reckon he's trained them all in this timeline, so when they go back in time as a team, they're going to stop the reason he's done all this. And the next thing is actually why this was all done in the first place.
Well, it's got to have something to do with the is it what are they called, the Institute or something?
The
time travelling people.
The company.
That's it.
It's not the company. It's the commission.
The commission. That's it. Yeah. So, by the way, Cha-Cha and wow, what a great characters, like how is it Cha-Cha is
Cha-Cha is Mary J. Blige, and Hazel was an actor called Cameron Britton.
And how he's actually in is it there's an FBI serial killer series. He plays a serial killer in his Netflix series
Mindhunter.
Yeah, a massive guy, isn't he, in terms of his like size.
I couldn't get through all of it because it was very slow.
I found it very macabre, I sort of come away from it.
And that opens with that guy doing weird stuff. And as soon as I found out that never goes anywhere, I was like, oh.
Yeah. So when I found out it was Mary J. Blige, because I only found out through looking at Wikipedia, I didn't automatically know. I told my wife, and she was like, "Oh my god, it is as well." How good are their relationship? They're so ruthless. They've got these like inflatable heads that become armoured when they inflate.
Yeah.
And they've got all these. Well, they've got the MG42s and stuff. So obviously, I'm assuming that they're there from that era, aren't they?
Well, this is something that they keep talking about at the crime scenes, because obviously they're going around and they are making quite a bit of a mess. But also the commission is also causing a bit of a mess, because when they shoot up the donut shop, they say the bullets are very odd.
They're old, aren't they?
They're either old or they don't register with any gun. So they've either got future tech or past tech, or a combined tech that's never been released.
But maybe the guns they're giving them are kind of roughly era specific, so they're not giving them like ray guns, because that's too obvious.
Yeah. But
the shotguns they give them are like, oh, these bullets may be like a couple of years down the line. They're like a couple of years either way.
Yeah. Well, I think they've got MG42s, which are the Nazi weapons. So obviously that's probably why they're odd as well. I think as well when you said, doesn't the one woman go past and said there's some fingerprints on it from the 30s,
1938,
which again is from that period. I think that's 5, isn't it? Is it 5? It might be 5.
What, 5?
Yeah, so 5 was an assassin.
Yeah.
5 became an assassin. So obviously he was in the future for a long time on his own.
And he went back and killed Stalin.
yeah.
JFK.
No, he doesn't. Because if I read this right, this whole Umbrella Academy takes place in an alternate reality where Kennedy doesn't get killed. Let me double check that, because I'm sure I read this. Because he puts the gun down, but I know there's 2 other shooters or something. But
that's okay. Kennedy will get him. Yeah. There was another time traveller there that day, Red Dwarf.
Yeah, of course.
Second gunman.
I'm sure. Hold on. You guys carry on. I'm sure I read this little bit here.
But going on to the commission, so this is where, again, time travel stuff, timey-wimey stuff.
Yay.
Because they've gone back in time, so at the end of the series, where everything they've done to try and avoid the apocalypse happening, they eventually end up causing said apocalypse again, but in a different, more epic fail way. Death Star kind of.
They put a hole in the moon.
Put a hole in the moon, which I thought was going to show why he was sent to the moon, and I was like, "Oh my god, he did send him to the moon for a." No, he would have died if he was still up there. But so they're at the end of the series, and they get sent back to when they're kids. So let's go back 20 years. Let's say 20 years, 15 years. It was 15 years. Will the damage that Number 5 did to the commission in this timeline, like blowing up all the briefcases and everything, have still happened? Because the commission is in the 1950s.
Yep.
So this is where it is, because he had to be in this timeline to jump back. It's all the Back to the Future stuff with
like the Adjustment Bureau, aren't they? From Philip K. Dick's.
That's exactly what I thought it was. I was thinking, I thought if I said that, you wouldn't know what it was. I love that movie.
Yeah.
But they're just like more of a. They're like they are a 50s version of that, aren't they? Really.
They exist in like a unchangeable timeline. Their base is the 1950s.
I'm sure I read something where it said this takes place in an alternate universe where Kennedy hasn't been assassinated. But it's really going to bug me now because I can't find it. Maybe I didn't.
Well, it doesn't allude to it anyway, really. But it's just the whole time travel concept just was the whole way he tricked Hazel and Cha-Cha as well, and the handler, which was played by Katie Walsh. How she was just like, you clever So it's obviously been years why she's been recovering.
Almost said they admire him so much, like they because he's like obviously really clever and he's got a natural power to.
He was their John Wick. He was their John Wick for their organisation. But it like okay, which one? You've said close. So if you were to rate them on who was your favourite, because there's 7. Okay, there's 7 of them. So if you were to order them, what's your top 5?
It's Klaus and 5 for me were dead on. Then Luther, Vanya, Diego, then Alison. I found Alison a bit boring until Vanya slit her throat. Oh my god!
Yeah, that was nuts, wasn't it?
I did not expect that.
I did not see Vanya being the actual main villain. I thought the guy manipulating her was going to turn her into a tool to use.
That's right. Yeah,
I wasn't expecting her to be the actual main villain.
Now,
I didn't like the actress that played her. To be fair,
Ellen Page.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
See, someone said to me about this, and I didn't. It became so clear as it was going on. So she looked very drab at the start. I'm thinking Ellen Page doesn't normally look magnificently beautiful and everything, but because she played Kitty Pryde, but she looked very like they've made her very drab. But then she stops taking the pills, and then you just see all the colour and everything come back, and it's like, oh god! And then it clicked for me because it was again very X-Men-ish, where Professor X obviously hides Jean's powers from her in that X-Men 3 film. That doesn't actually happen, but the X-Men 3 hides her powers, mentally blocks her from her powers, which is what Hargreaves technically did. He just did it with drugs and someone else's powers. But I was a little bit confused on what her powers, but so I understood it that she used sound waves to basically create energy waves.
Yeah, so she can take the vibrations of sound and repurpose them into energy.
Yeah, using the heartbeat was terrifying. Oh, that was amazing. And then she used Pogo's own heartbeat to fear to kill him.
Yep.
Oh, that was horrible because then you saw him. He figured out he was going, and his heart started racing. It broke my heart.
Really?
I really liked Pogo.
I was
it's
sad.
a chimp.
He'll be back.
I know he'll be back. But
I was sad Pogo died, but at the same time, it was so well written that it was one of those. Yeah, no, you.
It was the only person she could take it out on.
Yeah, and he accepted it because of what he'd done.
Yeah.
See, it's saying here, this is a spoiler obviously for the comics, but the Umbrella Academy Dallas, which is one of the comics.
That's the second one.
Yeah. That Kennedy says something like at the end Kennedy does get killed. I'm sure anyway.
Maybe they kill him to rewrite the timeline.
Potentially.
Spy didn't.
I mean, I'm not sure if anyone's going to comment in the comments, but if someone knows the answer, comment in the comments, because I thought he was dead. I thought he doesn't die. I thought I read somewhere he doesn't die. But anyway, whatever. But yeah, so who else? One. I thought he was really big and muscly at first, and then all of a sudden, he's half ape.
It's one of those actors who blew my mind when I started seeing the interviews. He's British.
Yeah,
he's he was in Game of Thrones. He's been in loads.
He was in Game of Thrones.
He was in Game of Thrones. So you know where they have. He was House Tarly. So you know where the two guys that get destroyed by Drogon. Basically, she says, "Bend the knee or die."
Got ya.
He's the son.
Got ya.
Yeah. Which I was kind of like, why do I know his face from? But he's been in loads of stuff that I've seen, but just wouldn't have put him as in that.
Now when you see him, you'll be like, oh, it's Luther from Umbrella Academy. That's what you're known for.
Yeah, like he was in Merlin.
What?
As like, he was in Merlin. I think he played what's King Arthur's right hand knight.
Merlin. Oh, sorry.
He was in Merlin.
Camelot.
What's King Arthur's?
Lancelot. There we go.
Lancelot. Yeah, there we go.
I think he played Lancelot, but I could be.
I'm thinking
wrong.
of one thing that I want to tell you. Then John's firing questions at me, but yeah, Lancelot. Yeah. What was I going to say? Right? I got a theory for you here, guys. Are you ready for this? I need you to right.
Is it like my time travel theories?
Yeah, that was no. That's a really good theory, and I like that theory. That's a good. If it happens, you heard it here first on Overthinking Media.
Well, you read it in the comic.
You read it in the comic books. You got it from Gerard Way himself.
So listen, right. So I'm thinking, Hazel.
Yeah.
He's obviously got a fetish for old people, but I don't think he has. I think that's the woman that he let go. Do you remember when Char Char says? Because basically he let someone go, didn't he? In his past.
Yeah, but I think Char Char killed that person.
Ah, right, okay.
He says he slipped up, but that's why I had to do the
job.
job.
I thought that might have been her.
I think Char Char.
I thought that might have been her, but like an older version.
Wait.
And then because he let her go because he loves her, and then obviously he knows it's her in the donut shop.
What if?
Or he just loves old women.
What if?
I don't think she's that old.
I mean, she's ancient. She's like 78. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, she's not fucking 78. She's probably like early 60s. So what if? Okay, so you're on about this alternate
John's
timeline.
Contemplating whether he would.
No. John would and doesn't want to admit that he would someone who was 78. So what if? Okay, what if this whole?
She's 63.
Oh, okay.
So what if this timeline? This timeline is the timeline for season 1 is this: Kennedy wasn't shot, and the idea is that because Fyre was supposed to kill Kennedy, but instead he jumped back. He jumped out of the timeline that we as people live in now. He jumped out of that. He didn't kill Kennedy, and jumped out of that into the TV show timeline. Because he didn't kill Kennedy, that starts this process off. And the commission are trying to get him back to kill Kennedy.
See, I don't know if he does.
Shush. So Char Char killed this woman in our timeline, and when they went back. Because Fyre went back and changed everything, this old lady didn't die in the time. So he's found this woman who died in the real timeline, in the timeline 1, and now they've jumped into this timeline 2 that has changed because Fyre didn't kill Kennedy. He's like, oh, it's you, but you're older because she was probably born in the 60s.
Yeah, man. This is what I mean. This is why I love the show. I was watching it and I had a few beers. I poured myself a whiskey and I thought I'm going to really sink into this. And I just thought everything about it. It's dark, the way it was shot, the characters, Klaus, Ben. I love Ben and Klaus's interaction. Like Ben's just chilling there all dead, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I saved you. You saved me.
He's always just hanging around.
Yeah, and then like I love Klaus when he starts to realise that in order to actually use his powers, because he's been sad. It's a sad character, really, when you break it down.
His own powers,
but he's basically been a drug addict all his life because he's afraid. He's like the kid out of Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
And then he accepts it, and then he talks to it. But I love how they try and get him sober all the time, and he's like. Do you remember when he's tied to that chair and Char Char and that are like torturing him and they're like strangling him and he starts to get like a boner? Keep going. I was like, oh my god, this guy. But yeah, do we think there's going to be a second series?
Oh no,
they've already announced the second series.
Yeah. Like I said, it's Netflix. Netflix desperately needed something like this to go along with Stranger Things.
Well, Altered Carbon, mate, is one of my favourite series.
Oh, I forgot about. But people weren't talking about Altered Carbon the way they have been Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
Altered Carbon was a buzz when it came out.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that we're a year from Altered Carbon and there's still no season 2.
It's been announced.
Oh yeah.
But so is Bright, which is that film with Will Smith, which is one of my favourite films on
Really?
Netflix. Yeah, I love Bright. I think it's basically a cultural message about today. About racism and diversity and that, and they've done it through a fantasy film, which I think is amazing. But yeah, I think we need to move on to.
I mean, I could talk about Umbrella
Academy. I know, yeah, I could really talk about it.
Didn't even scratch the surface.
I know.
Well, yeah.
Although I now have audio recording of John trying to talk about time travel.
Well, time travel's hard to talk about.
It is, but I think it's been done really well in this series.
Yeah.
It's been. I think Five's in love with a mannequin. For fuck's sake! I mean, how great is that?
Well, again, it's just putting focus onto something so you don't go mad. He's obviously took that so he doesn't go mad.
But it's great though.
He's very about life. Like he's trying to save life by sacrificing life, because his whole reality of when he gets taken away by the handler to that hotel room where they're in the bowling alley and they come back and there's a battle going on. He's like, where have you been? Had to handle something. It's not like you're in danger. It's just like, oh, I'm back. And that whole scene where they're all running and they go through the pins at the bowling alley, and Klaus is just flipping hilarious.
I love how ridiculous the kid, the number 5, looks with a gun. Like he's got this gun that he's been handling. He knows how to handle a weapon as an adult. When he gets the gun and reloads the shotgun in front of Luther, and he's just this little kid with this massive gun that he can barely handle. Love it.
Yeah, we haven't spoke a lot about what's his name? The guy that throws the knives.
Diego.
Yeah.
Diego's character was. I don't know. He was.
I liked him.
He was damaged. He was a mommy's boy.
Yeah,
he was definitely a mommy's boy. Yeah. But he had this.
He wasn't much different than I've seen in a lot of other TV shows. He's a very standard character.
He was basically the backup to Luther, so he was essentially... He wanted to be number one, but it was quite clearly why he wasn't number one.
He accepted that, though.
He did accept that eventually, because he says, well, you're number one, you make the plan.
Yeah.
But obviously even Luther has his moment where he breaks. He had this undying loyalty to his dad, and then finds out in both timelines that happened. One where he gets the girl, which... It's weird. They're obviously not related, but... Yeah,
they're not related.
They're not related.
Like a porno. They're just stepsisters and stepbrothers.
He gets the girl he wants in that one, but he also gets the girl he wants in the next one. But going through a one-night stand who thinks he's a furry.
Yeah,
with him dancing in the club like a giant gorilla.
Yeah, I did like that sort of love interest. It was cool, and they went back up to the treehouse, and the old can of cokes were still there that taste awful. Which, by the way, my wife thinks would not be the case. They think those cans of cokes would be perfectly fine.
I'm going to send you a video to show her.
Okay, there we go. Link it in the the video actually, so everyone can hear it, see it, hear it, whatever.
Mm-hmm. What was the time jump? 15 years. It was 15 years.
I think so.
Right.
Well, no, I think it will probably be longer because Ben was still alive when they were going up to that room.
So we're saying 15 to 20 years.
15 to 20 years.
I don't think one was sent up to the moon for no reason. I think there's going to be something behind
his dad even says, I should have burnt them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He says, he doesn't have any remorse. He goes, yeah, that was a mistake. I should have burnt them. How is he, by the way?
So he sent him to the moon for a reason. But
he sent him to the moon because he was like, he wanted him to do, he didn't want him to get depressed because he is now a man ape.
Like he hid him on the moon.
He hid him on the moon because he wouldn't be gawked at. He wouldn't have to deal with people judging him. He wouldn't be trapped in the house. He had basically a whole satellite to go and patrol any big giant ape body. Now, as soon as he came back, it was pretty obvious there was something wrong. I just thought he was kind of
big
like...
and muscly and...
Yeah, I thought he was something like a Jekyll and Hyde thing where he was just like really big and muscly and that was his power, that he became a juggernaut.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
We're going to have to move on to this week's media discussion. I'm calling it media now rather than just film or TV. I just think because it could be anything. It could be
this wasn't a film.
Whatever it is. So this week
it's
it was
media.
This week is documentary of the week.
So yeah, the documentary that was your suggestion, Harry, was Fyre on Netflix. You want to start, seeing as though it's your... I'll just say wow.
I was going to say I chose it. So, yeah. So did you guys not know anything about this whilst it was happening?
Nope.
No, I didn't know anything about it while it was happening, but I'd heard about it in workplace. So people were talking about it. And I heard about it 2 weeks ago. So how long ago did this happen?
This was years ago.
So this was 2016, I think. 2016.
Never heard anything.
The only reason I heard about it was because people had watched this documentary. And then I was like, I saw some GIFs when it was happening. Like, it was on Twitter and people were like taking the piss and it was like trending on Twitter. And it was like, it was nothing to me because one, I didn't have £3,000 for a festival ticket.
Yeah.
So it was never anything that was going to be on my radar. I barely had £300 or £500 for my download ticket every year.
Hey, John just won me a tenner. I had a bet with someone when we were talking about this, that John would bring up download, and as a tenner.
And he brought up download.
Yeah.
In a very logical way, though.
Carry on.
But, wow. It was like, everyone was saying, no, you can't do this. And, like, immediately, it's like, it looks great. They're doing it. Jarl.
Who vanished. You notice how as it gets worse and worse, he vanishes
He's
and vanishes and vanishes.
protected by loads of lawyers.
Yeah.
But then he phones up at the end and says, and people are saying, well, it's fraud. And it's Fyre too. And he went, it's fraud. People aren't going to... He went, it's not fraud. Let's not throw fraud.
It's just false advertising.
And someone went,
what's the difference?
That's fraud.
So, I'll just say one... This could have been the way they got all those supermodels, like that headed girl and all the Emily Rachansky and all these beautiful women on this island, and they did the marketing for it, and they got these influencers, and this could have been one of the biggest things ever created, and it would have been unreal. but they just didn't think about the planning. Obviously, this is the whole thing, like the island and the where they're going to sleep, the sanitary conditions, like the transport, the safety. That should have all been ironed out before they got pissed off.
Yep.
And invited supermodels along to Instagram the shit out of this thing.
Yeah. You thought, I could do this with 60 people. I'll just do it with.
Yeah.
Well, it became apparent that this wasn't going to happen. So
100 days.
Well, they did the shoot, which obviously went viral. Now, if they'd probably done a small festival of 100 people, because this was only 60 people on that island when they filmed that video.
I say 1,000, maybe.
Yeah, you're not going to have a festival of 100 people.
Yeah,
like
but they could have done it like a proper...
You go to a food festival in the middle of Birmingham, there's like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And it's small.
But they were told this island's not going to fit that many people.
Yeah.
They were also told not to mention Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
They do it in the first line of the media and lose the island.
Because isn't it a lawsuit that the family of Pablo Escobar sort of say?
Basically, they said you can use the island, but you can't mention the name, and they literally do it, so they get booted off this magical paradise.
The pilot who flew them backwards and forwards, him and his wife, thought, I'm not sure you can sleep on this island, so they slept on the island. They were like, that was awful, don't do it.
He didn't sleep,
So the answer to that was, oh, well, you're fired.
No, I thought he walked away.
He was told to leave.
Basically, because he was coming with problems, and he wasn't coming with solutions, and he was like, we're not problem... Yeah, but he says, we're not bring problems, we're problem solvers. You are going to solve this problem. So you can't. And now, the guy with the... I can't remember his name. It was the guy with the beard who basically got asked a question when Billy's either a genius or a liar. What do you think of him now? And he went, well, he's a liar. I can't remember his name, but he was the most screwed on person.
The gay guy that was going to give a blowjob to someone.
No, not him. No, not him.
He was the only one.
That was a funny guy. He was clever as well.
He was the only one on that documentary who was very clearly... Like, he's the only one there who's like, I know I did wrong. He was the only one who was on the wrong side of the fence for this thing, going along with it all.
And basically they said, oh, well, they'll see your lovely face when you're teaching yoga.
That was a different guy.
That's the guy I was talking about.
Right, yeah.
Not the old silver-haired...
Yeah, the old silver-haired guy. He was very clearly, like...
trying to help a friend.
Yeah, he was part of the planning...
But he was part of this guy's first up-and-coming things, and he believed in him.
Which is the first thing this kid did. Like, because I say a kid, because he's younger than you, or he's like around your age, or like 27,
28. No, sorry, I'm 29 now. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but he was about that age at the time. He's like way younger than me, and he's just using his parents' money and playing with it. And you look at all the videos with him with Ja Rule and all that kind of stuff. He doesn't look like he belongs. He hasn't genuinely built himself there. He's just in this world and throwing money at it to get.
Yeah, it's because he made that card, didn't he? The charge card for the millennials.
Yeah. Where if you pay to be part of this club and have this card,
you get discounts and exclusives. And Ja Rule backed him, I think, a little bit. But
Ja Rule backed him on the talent. You could hire any talent you wanted for any party. And that kind of was a bit more of a legitimate business. But the card one, no, it's like, oh yeah, you pay us this money, you can have access to these Hollywood apartments.
But then the reviews for those were cancelled last minute, didn't hear back. It was scams. Like what he was doing when he was on bail.
So let's backtrack.
Let's save that for the end.
Let's backtrack a second. So they put out all this Instagram, and it was building, and it was getting hits, and it was just becoming the biggest thing on the planet. That I didn't really hear about.
I hadn't heard about it at this point.
So, and then
more America, I'd say America, and we don't. I don't follow what is a Kardashian person.
This is why I mentioned last week. I have nothing to do with this world, which is why it fascinates me.
So they sold all the packages, the villas. They promised villas to influencers, the cruise ships, the boats. They sold it out, and then they got told, like you said, that they couldn't have that one island. So then they had to frantically look for another island.
Well, the thing is, they'd even done that. They'd sold those packages, but they hadn't designed any tents.
Yeah. They put. Let's put up a luxury, massive tent, and then for $65,000, and see if anyone buys it. Oh, someone bought it. Great. Let's not get the tent.
Do you remember when they got this new island and it was like a cordoned off part that was like basically a construction site?
Yeah,
It was going to be a housing development.
Yeah, and they started just putting these Hurricane Katrina domes on the concrete, and then all the mattresses are outside, and then they started going, we need more people to build, and they got the whole island,
and none of them have been paid.
These are like this is a poor country or a poor island, presumably. It's not a very like sort of.
It's a seasonal country.
It makes its money through tourism and these people were working day and night. Remember that guy that was looking after them, and and my anxiety was just going through the fucking roof.
I was watching it. I was just sitting there going, "This is horrible," but they just didn't plan anything right because. Now, fair enough. There were a few acts of God that were like. Fuck
stop
you guys.
It. Like, seriously, stop. Yeah. Stop what you're doing.
There was...
What, when it rained? Right?
Blink 182 pulling out. Then there was... Well, I pulled out the day of the festival. But the rain the night before. It was literally like, no. But they did it the weekend where this island was fully occupied because of this other festival, which... Carnival festival kind of thing. So all the hotels were booked. So even if the people... If they'd done it any other weekend, at least the people who had gone camping could have been like, well, screw you, and gone to a hotel. But there was nowhere for them to go.
There was no drivers to drive them around. There was nothing. And they were just taking homes from.
There was no light.
And I don't know what they were saying. They were going to give you this much. You just need to be out for this day. And they were like pulling houses and saying this is one of the ocean view, and it was nowhere near the. And I'm like, oh my! And then the best for me, right? I know I'm jumping ahead a tiny bit. Was that guy, the gay guy? I think because he basically said. He said, "Get me all that Evian water," and he goes, "I was contemplating going down there."
No, he got to the office.
We need you to take one for the team. He's like, "I take one for the team every day." No, but we actually need you to really take one for the team.
I'm going to spell this out for you. We need you to go down there, drive 40 miles, go into this guy's office, and suck his dick
for water.
And the thing is, he went to the office, and the guy went, "Don't worry, I like you.
Yeah.
Just give me my money when it's done." But obviously the festival didn't happen, so they didn't get any money. This guy's in bed. Well, again, I'm skipping. Ahead.
So let's just say they've got a couple of days, and every time it's coming down 10, 30 days, 20 days, 20, and they're all, and it's like an army. It's just like erecting all this shit, and then all of a sudden it's all going wrong, and then all of a sudden these people on Instagram are going, "We're about to fly out." They're all fucking on their way, and there's nothing ready.
We've got tents and some mattresses, and that's it. And we haven't even got the mattresses in the tents. It's just And then obviously you get them because it's so disorganised. They're like, "Oh, this is a mess. What should we do? Oh, I know. Let's ram tequila down everybody's throats."
In that really nice part, and that one woman, bless her, on that little beach sort of.
Oh, broken. I felt so bad. I wanted to be
lost or something.
And I was like, no one's like. I would have expected someone to go back and say sorry, but. And then Billy phoned that guy during the interview. Oh God.
Yeah, so they all started landing. They were all. The first wave was kept at bay.
Yeah, they were early. They were kept on the beach for 6 hours.
Yeah, and then
not a bad place to be kept on a beach
without your luggage.
Yeah,
without water or food in that heat.
Yeah, they were in a bar.
Without, they had no food.
And basically,
yeah.
So basically, yeah. So what happened was then is that what happened then basically is
Michael's dinner arrived.
Where were we? Sorry.
So everyone's kept on the beach.
They all landed, and then obviously they just didn't know where to go. And then he came out. Fair play to him, though. He came outside and was sort of standing on a barrel, going, "Don't worry, it's all going to be okay." And I'm thinking, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah. What was the line? So we paid something like £1 million to that Kardashian. Was it a Kardashian? I think it was a Kardashian.
Keep going on,
to advertise this, and it got this likes, and she has 1.5 million followers, and a kid with 230 followers with that cheese sandwich photo.
That's where I first heard about it as it was happening. So that cheese sandwich photo ended up on Reddit. I was like, a festival that's only giving away these crappy cheese sandwiches. And that's where I started to pick up on what was going on. And all the videos of all the people running around with mattresses and stealing pillows.
Because any festival you go to, now, fair enough, this was supposed to be an upmarket festival. Any festival you go to has hundreds of food carts. So the food festivals, you go to a pub for like a pub day, they normally have a burger van in the car park or 2 burger vans in the car park. And obviously, download Reading and that, they have these cities where people can go.
It's quite accurate, like a city of
they have
food
a city
carts.
of They have a city of toilets, food carts, seating areas, fairground rides for entertainment. There was nowhere for that to go on that location. Literally, half of that was tents, and they were building a stage which was never used.
We saw the stage once, and I couldn't see any way of fitting that many people to look at the stage.
How many were there supposed to be there?
10,000.
See, that's a very small festival in regards to numbers anyway.
I just think, though, the island, the little bit of it was just horrendous.
That little bit of island was mostly water as well.
Yeah.
It was mostly
with a sheer drop into that lagoon.
Yeah. No barriers, and it was just a catastrophe. Yeah, so Ja Rule disappeared.
He just
he has said he wants to do it again.
Oh yeah.
What is he going to pay for 10,000 people?
They trying to avoid the end bit because the end bit was the really shocking bit. But in that conversation where there's a group of them in that room having a conversation at the end, one of them says, "Oh, we can turn this into we can actually do this again, and it will be the greatest thing ever because there's so much buzz about it. Everyone will want to go to see it fail, and obviously when it doesn't fail, it'll be great." So Ja Rule wants to do it again.
So I've literally just Googled Fyre Festival just because I see if I can find Fyre Festival 2.0 that Ja Rule was talking about. And the first thing is an influencer is suing Netflix over the footage used in the Fyre Festival documentary. Fucking hell. And then Ja Rule says he was conned by Billy as well. Billy McFarlane.
God.
That card. Yeah, it was nuts. And then, so... the pandemonium was at the end when everyone wanted their money and they were like rioting on the island, weren't they? And I was like, oh my God.
Because they were stuck. They had no flights for days.
How they all got off and anyway, but so that would have been a catastrophe. And then, so then he gets out on bail. Am I right in saying? So he gets out on bail and so this random geezer shows up.
This random kid, this like 22-year-old kid.
Yeah, and is he like a scam artist or something?
Yeah.
So this Billy runs from he's on I don't know if he's on house arrest or he just gets out on bail. He's like gonna go to court to probably get some serious fines for this.
I'm not going to jail.
And then starts immediately scamming we've got tickets to these events that don't have tickets that you can't get. Selling them,
released.
Trying to sell them to the people who bought the Fyre Festival tickets. But he
GDPR.
Oh, yeah. Can't use his own name, so he gets his 22-year-old kid who's clearly a dickhead. He's got the Fyre hat on, and he's got the other company, and he's like...
Magnesis
or something, yeah.
And he's in this massive apartment,
this
penthouse.
Well, the guy with the dreadlocks who's at the end basically saying, I don't know what he was doing, but he was like, Billy has a whole different version of being out on bail than I did. Literally, because it was like, the penthouse is worth more than my house kind of thing.
Yep.
And this guy is just a person that's literally bankrupted people. That one guy who worked for him was being sued for stuff that he'd done in the festival. He went, yeah, and thanks, Billy, I'm being sued for $250,000. And I'm like...
Oh yeah, some of the staff who worked for him who were trying to tell him, no, this is awful, don't do it.
Yeah, being sued.
They're being sued. They've all lost out. The people who were, because it was originally an app development company that were developing an app, and the people developing that app, they all lost out, and they had nothing to do with the festival.
Well, it was a phone call. The company's not closing, but you won't have a job tomorrow. So you're not firing us, so we can't claim severance.
Yeah.
You went, no. I went, well, that's a dick move, Billy. And then everyone stayed on the line and went, you've been contacted by the FBI? They all wanted him hung, strung, quartered,
And he was going to get away with it until the end where he then starts... And the reason he went to jail for 6 years... The reason he went to jail for 6 years was because of the ticket scam, the thing you see him do at the end, that he films himself doing.
Yeah, he's an idiot. Why is he doing that for?
He's a twat.
He's an absolute... And that's why he's in jail now.
I'm 6 years he's got.
I'm sure the Fyre Festival stuff had something to do with it as well, but the main reason he went to jail for so long was because of this ticket scam he does.
Not because of Fyre Festival.
No, whilst out on fucking bail. In front of people that he films.
What's he going to do now?
He'll come back and do it again.
Baskin Robbins.
He can't do it again, so he's now banned from owning
From being a director, but he can be an advisor.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, he's a good entrepreneur, apparently. I don't see...
No, this is the thing. It's all been...
Parents' money.
It's all been... he can talk the talk. He is a salesman. He may not be a good businessman, but he can say... He's a Wolf of Wall Street. But I've just... Because I Googled it. That Andy King has been the water saviour, has been offered his own shows. It's like, he's apparently, since the documentary, he's been reportedly been offered a number of shows.
He's the only one who seemed remotely apologetic for it.
Do you know what?
No. The one guy, the guy that was going to be teaching the yoga...
But
he did, because he says, I think I'm to blame as well, because I was posting, I'm here in Paradise, when he was working on the festival, and he was there for 3 weeks. He went, I didn't help the situation, because I was posting all these photos while I was in my beach house. If I'd posted photos, which obviously one of the staff eventually did, of what was going on, then I wouldn't have this... Guilt,
yeah.
He went to... So I do feel guilty, but I did tell them no. And then also the social media people, they turned up on the island. They were actually on the island and went, no, we're not promoting this anymore. We're not helping you anymore. He gets a text message, send the account details to this person. What they're gonna do? Sorry for the crappy tents.
They were just gonna lie for him. They found a social media company that were gonna lie for him.
It's...
Yeah, it was weird. They show up on the island, just the three of them there with their cameras out going, well, there's no one here. We're here to promote an event. We don't know where we're going. There's no one here to pick us up.
I do feel bad for like the people that live on the island that were just all roped into this. That woman had like 60 grand savings.
Her savings just gone.
All her life she seems to have worked. That's she going to retire. I just thought and Ja Rule comes out of this squeaky clean.
Obviously.
It's just odd, isn't it? Like, oh, I'm the victim here. No, you have been a part of something that has ruined people's lives.
And they have him on film saying it's not fraud, it's false advertising. And it's like, well, that's just as bad.
Yeah.
I think he's not been happy with this documentary from the sounds of it.
Well, good, because what they did was
wrong.
Awful, yeah.
But you know what? At the same time, someone said, I think it was my wife who said this actually. She said, I'm sure, was it not mentioned on the show that like it sort of happened to all the rich kids of the world?
No, this is what the internet was having a field day, because it was like, oh, boo-hoo, you spent £3,000 on a ticket to go to the Bahamas.
So what you're saying is it would have actually been worse if it was like kids or people of normal income.
Yeah, normal, just people that have to work to get their money. I'm not saying these people don't work. I mean, just like they're not living out of Big Daddy's pocket, basically.
So did you see that link I put in our WhatsApp group?
No, I haven't.
Right, so there is another festival that happened last year or the year before, where if you've ever heard of a convention called VidCon, which is like the YouTube convention, E3 of YouTube.
Yep.
And this VidCon place banned this particular YouTuber from going, and she was really mad about it and hated him. Mm-hmm. So this entertainment company got involved and said, well, on the same weekend, we'll have our own. You can have your own convention.
Yes. No, I think I did watch this. Is this
Tanacom?
Is she Twitch?
No. She's just a YouTuber. She's a YouTuber.
I'm sure I watched this. Didn't she? They all turn up, and it was all just really bad, like the way it all went down.
Are you on about the Fortnite festival?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that was like 4 weeks ago.
Okay, the thing in Norwich. No. Yeah.
So carry on.
So this company got in touch with this YouTuber, and they said, right, we're going to have this free festival. All my fans can bugger off VidCon, because fuck them, and come to my free festival. There's going to be 5,000 free tickets, and then we're going to sell 1,000. We're going to sell 1,000 premium tickets, and they're going to get all these famous YouTubers who are our friends to go. One of which was Shane Dawson. You must have heard of Shane Dawson. He's like one of the biggest, most popular YouTubers ever. Anyway, okay.
I have. Yeah. I've just typed in his name. Yeah, I know his face. That's him.
Yeah. Yeah. So this festival went worse than the Fyre Festival. So Shane Dawson made a kind of 3 or 4 part documentary about it. I highly suggest, after listening to this podcast, people listening, we'll put a link in the thing. Go and watch that documentary series where it goes into way more depth than this Fyre one did. and it's way, way, way worse.
Way worse.
And the people who ran it, like the kid who ran this festival, was this convention. This isn't a festival; it's a convention. The kid who did it was like 19, had no clue. It's like a complete train wreck, and it's even better than the Fyre Festival thing. It's like a nice continuation of this same. For some reason, kids keep trying to run festivals without knowing what they're doing, and we're getting great documentaries out of it. Love it.
Right. So, great choice. I really enjoyed it. Played my anxiety a bit.
Made me hate people.
Yeah.
It made me hate rich, snobby people who think they can do anything and own the world because, I had so much rage.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So...
got what he deserved.
Next week...
Mm-hmm.
You remembered it's your film choice then?
Yep. And the media suggestion, because I'm going to follow on from the Coen brothers, from your suggestion, John. And they did
I'm sorry.
They did a great film. One of my favourite films. And it's called The Big Lebowski.
Oh, right, cool, yeah.
With Jeff Bridges.
The dude.
And it's a cult classic. The Coen brothers obviously directed it. And it stars obviously Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, Julianne Moore, etc., etc. And it came out in 1998.
Oh, wow, I thought it was earlier than that.
Yeah,
there was a little bit of a buzz a few weeks ago where the dude appeared in a commercial. And they thought it was going to be The Big Lebowski 2. I remember going and telling my dad, because we're big fans, and it was just some commercial for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it starred...
Jeff Bridges.
No, Jeff Bridges was in the bar with the Sex and the City actress, the main Carrie
Fisher. No.
Carrie Ann Moore, is it, or Moss or something like that?
That's Trinity from the Matrix.
Oh, okay, yeah, but yeah. Anyway, but it just made me want to go back and watch the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think you guys will like it. It's great.
On Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix at the moment.
It's all on Netflix. Yeah, so obviously it just makes it accessible. So go away, watch it, come back. We'll discuss it next week and see. See what your thoughts and impressions are.
Cool.
Okay.
I can already tell you I like it. I will watch it again.
I know I like it, but I haven't watched it.
I haven't watched it in
15 years, so it's going to be like.
I always used to get it mixed up with another film.
I'm going to be watching this with a new perspective on films and stuff, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those films where it's so humorous, and the guy Jeff Bridges is so laid back. It's unreal. It's great, and the way he looks at the world.
I used to get this confused with another film that came out a little bit at the same time, and it stars Woody Harrelson.
It's not the bowling one, is it?
It is the bowling one that stars Woody Harrelson, where he loses his hand.
And Bill Murray.
Yeah, that's great.
For some reason, because obviously I watched it.
Kingpin? Is it called
It's Kingpins or something. I watched it back then, and they were in the same era. And to me, it was like, are they the same film? I don't know. But they're quite clearly not now, because I think that's on Netflix as well at the moment. I think I might watch that.
I might watch it.
Yeah, but Big Lebowski, I definitely enjoy that.
Okay, so this week's Guess the Character.
Crap.
So I've got a point. Kate's got a point.
John's got 2.
Harry's got 1. John, you got 3.
You haven't got 1.
I did. I got last week's one.
Oh, yeah, you did. You got Geralt eventually.
I'm on an hour's sleep. And
eventually, I got it on the third clue.
You got it on the 4th clue.
I thought it was the 3rd. Anyway, you ready?
No.
Yeah.
First clue. Brother. Close quarters combat.
That's many words.
Bandana.
Snake.
Yes. I will allow it. It was Solid Snake.
Wrong. Yes.
I will allow it. And then it was Stealth, Clone, Box.
Yeah, as soon as you said CQC, I was like, Snake. And because his brother is like one of the other snakes.
Liquid, Solidus.
Yeah.
There's a few. Sorry, John.
Sweet.
We've never played any Metal Gear Solid games.
What?
So.
That's...
Do it. They're on... Oh, Metal Gear Solid 4 just landed on PlayStation now. Along with the HD collection, so I'm like, nah.
Mate, they're my favourite games
Snake
of all time.
Eater is one of my favourite games of all time. So.
Anything we want to add before we close up?
Apparently Anthem has bombed.
Yep.
Shit, we haven't talked about Anthem.
Yeah.
Fuck, yeah.
Anthem
Jesus.
has absolutely bombed, and he's apparently breaking PlayStations.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah. I just saw it today. It's like people are actually... It's had loads of people taking the game back. It had low physical sales, but that's to be expected in this day and age, I'd say. But people have been returning it. Yeah, apparently people are sick of these types of games now. By the looks of it,
they just don't work. These big AAA titles with these persistently online MMO-esque games just don't. Online Red Dead Redemption Online doesn't work. Online AAA title, Anthem Online AAA title doesn't work. Apex Legends, out of nowhere, no beta testing, not a AAA title, works like a dream. They just hit 50 million.
They've just hit 50 million. Fortnite are now stealing stuff from them, and there was a funny video gif where someone had stuck like the labels of the games over it, and it was the Black Panther scene on the waterfall where Killmonger's basically beating up T'Challa, and it's Apex Legends over him, and it's like, is this your king? And it's Fortnite, and you've got Epic Games and PUBG going, no!
That would
as
be
it
me.
throws him over and it's Apex Legends throws you over the cliff, and it's like, I am your king now, and I was like, yeah, you are.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know loads of people that are playing Apex Legends.
Apex is good. It's good. I don't think I'm going to get into it. I'm still on PUBG. I love PUBG.
I know Matt and Andrew were playing it.
I love. So I've played a couple of games with you now.
Matt and Andrew are from Fairly Geeky, by the way.
I love playing Apex Legends because you and me drop in. I played Apex Legends with you, John.
It's the same PUBG element for me. I need a shotgun.
I played it with John. I played it with Cracker. I played it with my sister. And everyone, we all drop in. We grab stuff. We're running around shooting. And then I play it with Mike. And you and me are like in the circle. We're exploring the map. And you hear Mike go, has anyone got a scope? Has anyone got... I've got a shotgun, but I need a choke for it.
You heard it last time we played, didn't you? Where he said, where are you guys? We all need to stick together. And then I look, literally, it's like a double take on my screen. Yeah, John, I heard it as well. And we're literally stood next to each other. We turn around, and you're about 5 miles away.
I was just making a point because you pair ran off and left me. And no, if you
ran into the circle.
Yeah, but you ran into a team and got killed. And we'd have all been together. It'd have been 3-on-3, not.
I just love Mike's like you're like I've got to get the gear. And Apex. That's what I love about Apex Legends. It's just grab stuff, and as long as it's not the Mozambique, you're gonna be equally matched.
I guess it's my PUBG mentality because attachments and certain things. Really
you were playing at a slower pace than the Apex Legends. Apex Legends is much more faster paced.
So I'll play. I'll obviously still continue to play. I think I love the music as you drop in. I think it's great. It's going to do well.
It is doing well.
Yeah, it's not even released its first season. On that note, have you seen the new Rainbow Six season stuff? I might go in for a bit.
The Australian Outback.
Have you seen the roadmap? So we're only getting one new map. Well, I say we don't play it as much anymore. One new map and then 3 new reworks. They're fixing Cafe and Border. Have a look at the changes.
Which one's Cafe?
Cafe is the one.
Is this all on YouTube?
The one in Snow.
The Emissary. Embassy one.
The one in Snow with Snow, the one with the kitchen and the meat locker.
That's the Embassy one, yeah. The 3-story building.
What's the new operators?
New operators are Mozzie and Road Gridlock. So Gridlock is an attacker who throws down barbed wire essentially, and when that barbed wire trips, it like if a roamer trips a barbed wire, it gives their location.
Right.
And then Mozzie has these little spider drones. Mm-hmm. He's a defender, and if a drone goes near them, they latch on, and then he can control attackers' drones. So if you leave, because attackers recently got double the amount of drones, you can have 10 drones.
That's pretty cool.
So now Mozzie, if you leave a drone in the room spying, and Mozzie sees it, he can take it over and run it back on you.
That's pretty cool. I like that. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
We'll jump. I won't have access to new operator. Oh no, I've probably got enough renown to buy one of them.
Yeah, maybe.
I definitely have enough renown.
I like how we used to play all the time, but now every new season we jump in for 1 or 2 games for an evening and just play the new stuff. And
I did go on recently, clutched.
So,
but yeah,
you did, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. And then just one final note before we got to go. Game of Thrones trailer has dropped. I know you're not watching it, Harry, but it's great.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
It is weird watching it back again, but as I say, we'll probably talk about our predictions for that closer to season 8.
Yeah, we might time for that for the podcast where I'm going to be in the hospital. So because I think I want to go into Game of Thrones. Your predictions will be based off stuff that you've seen. So I want to go into this last season without knowing a single sausage.
Okay.
I might get Ben on that because obviously Ben's read the books. Well, seasons ahead of.
That's fine.
Never mind.
That's fine.
But so.
Okay, so that's all we have time for today. Remember, you can find us on our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. Forget that. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Join us next time for more Overthinking and Overthinking Media.